It is next Gen Takeover. You know, it's okay to change it up. It's okay to laugh and jump and dance. And actually, we're going to have sign-ups after this service. All of you adults that want to be a part of our dance team for next Sunday. Any volunteers? Any volunteers? No, I don't see anybody raising their hand, so we may have to hand pick. No, we're excited. Maddie has spent a lot of time with these kids, helping them just to bring something fun. This is what elementary class looks like, is these kids up there dancing and worshiping. So along those lines, today, if we haven't met again, I'm Brian. I'm our Next Gen director here. And because it's Next Gen Takeover, we want to give some perspective. And the perspective is this. We have some people that you'll recognize when they come out. We're going to do a panel. I'm not going to like musical chairs. Five. You guys are like, what are they doing up here? Why does he need 5 chairs? So we're going to have a panel come up. But what we're going to talk about today is the importance and the impact of student ministry in the lives of some of our very own leaders. And I just want you to know that we do our very best to pour everything that we can into our kids and our students. We want them to know Jesus is their best friend. We want them to start to begin to recognize their identity in Christ so that they can go through this world and become world changers. That they're not influenced by all the nonsense that goes on around them. And you know there's a lot of nonsense. There's a lot of nonsense going on out there. But with your help, and with the partnership of a student ministry, we can raise them up in the way that they should go. And when they're old, they won't depart. So I'm excited to bring a little perspective on what this looks like. And here's some real testimonies from within our church. So if our panel will come out, we are going to discuss the impact of student ministry. Give it up for our panel as they come out. All right, guys, thanks for joining us today. Are you happy to be here? This is round 2. It's a little different having to do it 3 times. It's one thing to do it once. It's another thing to do it 3 times. So what I'd like you to do is introduce yourself, a little bit about who you are and how long you've been at Wellspring, and then we'll get started.
Awesome. I'm Connor. I'm the student pastor here. I started coming to Wellspring when I was 17. I'm 24. I can't do the math because I'm a pastor in Ruskin, but it's been a few years. But I'm here. I'm excited. My wife also works here. She's up in this front corner, and she helps do our culture and baptism event. Yeah, give it up for her. Yeah.
They must know your wife.
Just so you know, she absolutely hates that. She absolutely hates that.
Yeah, but she got more applause than you did.
Yeah, she did.
So they must really like her.
She definitely did. So we've been here. I've been here about 4 years working here. I got my bachelor's at Southeast and my master's at Liberty University, and I'm back working here as student pastor. So, yeah.
Muy bien. My name is Dakota Atkins. AKA the lead pastor's son. I have been at Wellspring since forever, since 5th grade. It actually was, the grand opening of Wellspring was actually a week before my birthday. It's like October 2nd or 3rd, and my birthday's October 8th. So I've been here. I have also been interning since then, paid and unpaid, mostly unpaid. And as of tomorrow, I am no longer an intern, so that's a good thing.
Maybe it's a trial period. I don't know if it's no longer.
We'll see, but they haven't.
Maybe you were intern and now we'll put you on a 90-day trial basis as a staff member and see how that goes.
He didn't say paid.
By my dad.
He didn't say paid.
He didn't say paid. He just said no longer an intern.
I'm Cambry. I'm Cole's wife, newly married, and I'm been coming to church for, oh my gosh, since we were like 13 or 14. We've been coming to Wellspring. So yeah, I've been here a while. I am newly graduated. I am a registered nurse. Let's go. Yeah, so that's me.
I'm Cole. I'm Cambry's husband, and I've also been coming to church since about 7th, 8th grade. Just been a part of Wellspring. I'm the guy that runs around with the camera like crazy, so I'm sure you've all seen me.
In the way, like trying to look around him. So these guys are all a part of our church. And we just want to talk today about what their youth ministry meant in their lives. So we're just going to ask some questions and see what that did to impact where they are today. So let's start with Dakota. Dakota, what is a God moment that you can recall from your youth group experience, from being here as a middle schooler or high schooler?
There are definitely a lot, but most important, it was the summer before my 6th grade. So I was at my very first youth group.
Intern, or you were at youth group?
I wasn't there on just services, so you could call it intern.
Okay, just checking.
And then I was at the service, and they were speaking about your calling and what our purpose is. And I remember being 6th grade, and they're passing out for some reason. They passed out little pieces of 2x4 that we were supposed to pray and then write down what we felt our calling was. And I wrote down ministry, not knowing what that means, what that entailed, whether that meant I was in the cafe or I was on stage speaking. But I did not know what that means. I also didn't know how to spell ministry, so it's misspelled on it. But yeah.
So why a piece of wood?
I don't.
Was there significance?
I couldn't even tell you.
Did
I don't
they just
remember
finished a
anything about the
construction
night.
project in the next gen building, and they're like, "Hey, we got all these scraps. Let's
My
use
only
that."
memory is the block. I have no other memory
Just
of the
the
night.
block
Yes.
with maybe minstry is what it says.
I think there was too many I's in the word.
too
so,
many
yeah,
eyes.
yeah.
Okay, ministry. How about Cambry? What was a God moment that you can recall from your youth ministry experience?
Mine is from a summer camp that was pretty impactful. It was a moment that was not planned or on any itinerary or probably approved by the pastors running it because it involved a bunch of high school kids.
Youth leaders don't listen to approval.
Yeah.
Don't ask for approval a lot.
It
They just
involved
kinda
a
go with
bunch
it.
of high school kids staying up until like 3 o'clock in the morning at summer camp, but just worshiping Jesus. Like we were just so deep in just God's presence. And I think about that moment a lot. I think about just being on the floor, just worshiping God, just being so hungry for God. And I think about that a lot to remind myself just being on fire for the Lord. And just I'll remember it forever.
And you still worship. You still have that moment up here, even this morning. It's beautiful. How many of you can remember a God moment? Like there was a time when God was right there, either with me, next to me. Like there's a moment in time that if we asked you the same question, you can be like, I can remember this God moment. I have a couple that stand out to me, but just these are things that shape where these people are today and where our youth, where we want them to go as a worshiper and as a, you're not an intern, you're not a staff member, like you're an owner. Like this is your house. This is your these are your family. Like you've got 5 that live in your house, but this is your family and you guys serve them so well. And there was a moment that you wrote ministry on a block of wood and now here you are. So it's fantastic. All right, let's go. Let's start with Connor on this one. Did you want to come to youth group or were you forced to come to youth group back in the day?
Yeah, I mean, I think here's a cool thing. Mom's actually in this service right there. I'm pointing at her. Oh,
Give it up for Mom.
Yeah, give it up for my mom.
Good job, Mom.
Yeah,
he made it.
But I think here's what's really cool is we didn't really go to church growing up until I was probably like 17. We started coming here. But I went when I was in middle school. I went to youth group. And then I didn't really go my freshman and sophomore year of high school, but when I started coming here when I was a junior, I think what's really cool is my mom never was like, oh, you have to go to youth group, but she rearranged the schedule to make it happen. So like we used to eat with my grandparents on Wednesday and they moved it to Thursday. She was always like every Wednesday, hey, you going to youth group? And it would just bring excitement to us. So I think what's really cool about it is that while I might not have necessarily been forced, like you have no other option, she rearranged the schedule and made it happen, built excitement, built this culture of I want to go to church. And so I think that's what's really cool.
So good. Yeah. Not only that they were supported, but then your family rallied around it. Like it was you made the choice and then they did everything they could to encourage that choice. And now he's the smartest man on our staff by any means with a master's in theology. Is that right? Yeah, master's in theology. So you came, but then they made room for it. Yeah, give it up for a master's. A lot of time and effort put into that. Cambry, how about you? Were you forced to come or did you, like Connor, you just wanted to be here?
I definitely did not want to be here. I was on the contrary. When I was 13, 14, I wanted nothing to do with church. I wanted nothing to do with coming here on Sunday mornings. I just didn't. I wasn't interested in it. But my parents 100% forced me to be here every Sunday. I can remember many instances in the parking lot trying to make my case why I did not have to go to students, why I should come to big church because this reason.
To big church?
Yeah.
You're old enough. Yeah, 13. Like,
Yeah.
that should be a big church.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
definitely. And it was ultimately my parents saying the classic tagline, "It is not an option, you're going." And so that's what got me in the door, and I'm forever grateful.
Come on. So, parents, the little lesson here, you're still the parent at 13. Like, you can tell them what to do. It's okay. I know that there's a lot of faux pas out there, and we may even get emails for me saying that you can tell your kids what to do, but you're still the parent. I have to remind myself of that. I have a 16 and a 19-year-old, both girls, and I have to remind myself that I'm still the parent because it gets that way, but they made sure that you were here. And I can hear the argument in the car because I've had some of the same ones, but they made room to make sure and what's in the best interest for you, and whether you were willing or reluctant really didn't matter because God still showed up on your behalf and placed you in that position for you to get to where you are today, and you're in love with Jesus. So what more could they ask for, right? So it's fantastic. All right, moving on. Dakota, what is one of the funnest experiences that you can recall from your youth ministry?
I gave a different one last service, and I was told it wasn't fun enough, so I'm going to give another one.
It was a little lackluster on the fun.
I'm sorry.
And I'll just share, last service, he said he was an intern in, whatever. He's been an intern for 27 years, and he's only 20. But he had to call every person that had ever visited our youth group. He had to call and text them to reach out, and there was like 350 people on a list, and this was his answer for his funnest experience. So
It was fun eventually.
Okay, so you had to make it fun.
Yeah, so
so you got another one.
I've got a second
All right,
one.
good, because they kind of went to sleep last
Yeah, I
night.
know,
So,
I
okay,
know.
all
I
right,
was
now
boring.
we got fun.
This was, I'm talking, this is a story that involves you, so.
I'm just terrified right
This
now.
was probably 5 years ago, maybe, and our old youth pastor who was in the first service, and he told me to say this story too. He had a great service, a bunch of people accepted Jesus, and he's like, we need to get baptized. And everyone's like, where do we go baptize? We don't want to drive all the way to the beach, even though it's 3 miles down the road. They decided to baptize people in the retention pond out there.
Nuh-uh.
Yep.
This pond.
Yep, the pond. Yeah, that pond over there.
That was
Probably
me.
like has brain eating and
You
amoebas
went.
in it.
This was your idea.
No, that was me that got baptized.
Yes.
You got baptized.
Yeah.
And you got baptized, or you?
No, I was just an onlooker thinking, I can't wait to tell my dad this.
Yeah. And if you know anything about our pastor, Pastor Joey, he doesn't like being dirty. So not only we probably didn't sign a release form for them to get baptized in our pond, but he wouldn't have gotten in that pond. I don't know that I would get in that pond. So this was the youth group idea.
Yes, it was great, very powerful. The Holy Spirit was
How
there.
many
but
people got baptized in the stinky pond?
3?
I got something from that pond. I don't remember,
Yeah, I mean,
I got something
I don't
from
know if
that
it made
pond.
you clean, but
Probably Giardia is what you got from that pond. Wow, okay, so spontaneous baptism in the pond.
very fun.
Please tell me this was before the baptismal was built, was there?
It was before.
It was before? Okay.
I wish it would be funnier.
All right, because if that
during.
was available and you still went to the pond, now you're just trying. Now you're just reaching for that. All right, Cole, how about you? What's a funnest experience from your youth group time?
Do I need to change my answer too to be
No,
funny?
you don't. No, yours was funny.
Okay.
His wasn't.
Well, one time in youth group, I knocked Dakota's tooth out, but
Oh,
I won't tell that
nice.
story. I won't tell that story. We didn't sign a release.
I
for
need
that
a
one
root
either.
canal, and I'm waiting for the money for that someday.
The most fun I had in youth group was just being a part of something that was bigger than just myself, because you're always looking for kind of something to place your identity in high school, because you don't really know who you are, what you like. I didn't even know what I was going to do with my life until senior year of high school. I kind of had an idea, and then I changed my degree 3 times.
Oh, congratulations.
So
Trying all of it.
I think just being a part of something that was bigger than myself was fun, because we got to see it grow from the very first youth group to what it is today and how it's thriving. And I remember the times we would all get together in one room and it was like 20 of us. And now it's a ton of kids. I don't even know how many kids there are now.
Yeah.
So just being a part of that and looking back at how far it's come was a lot of fun, just to be a little part of it all.
And you said that most of them, or some of your best friends still today, are from that fun time back
Yeah.
then. Like you've moved on, you've gotten married and went to college, and
Right.
and you still, some people you thought maybe were gonna be your lifelong friends. It comes back to
Right. Yeah. I had a lot of friends in high school, and I'm not really close with a lot of them today. And the friends I made in youth group are the ones that are still my best friends now. Dakota was my best man at my wedding
Yeah.
3 months ago. So
How was his speech? Did you do all right?
it was really good.
It was phenomenal.
He had,
It was
he had
phenomenal.
his 5 minutes of
Phenomenal.
being a comedian.
His-
So
Okay. Did he have to write it down or did he wing it?
he did not write it down. He didn't even know what he was saying until he was there.
How many best men have waited till the last minute to do that? Yeah, I was that one. I did that one time. Well, that's awesome. So still best friends because we met in youth group, and now we're not only friends, we're doing life together. We're serving Jesus together. So fantastic. I want everybody to share, and we'll just start with you, Cole, and we'll go back around this way. How did your next gen experience from middle school through high school, how did that next gen time shape where you are today? Like you go to this and you're a part of it and you get through, what seems like 15 years of middle school and high school, and it's not quite that many, but for some people it might have been. Was it 15 for you? How many years of high school? No, just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Almost.
I'm sorry. I poked
Almost.
fun at Dakota at his expense. I'm sorry.
No, I zoned out looking at you talking, and then you said that, and I was like, is he talking about me? I don't know.
You didn't even remember. It's like, wait a minute, how many years are in high school? So what did that time in Next Gen Ministry, what did that do to shape the Cole that's sitting here in 2024?
Yeah, so I grew up in the church. Probably the first week I was born, I was in church. So I grew up around church, knowing who God was, and youth group is what really made me realize I have to go deeper. It's not just mom and dad's faith, and I can
Oh, come on, that's good. Yeah.
get into heaven off their back.
Right.
It's when I realized, this is about my own relationship with the Lord, and youth group is what allowed it to just be a more relational thing with the Lord rather than it's mom and dad's faith,
Yeah.
it's grandma and grandpa's faith. It's you own it. It's your faith.
Come on. Yeah, so good. So good.
And
Shape that.
I met Cambry in youth group.
And he met his wife, and he married up. Good job. Good job.
Oh, for sure.
Cambry, how about you? How did youth ministry shape 2024 Cambry?
I feel like it just changed my whole perspective on life. Like, as a high schooler or middle schooler, like, you're so egocentric. You just think about yourself all the time. Everything is about you. And getting in student ministry, becoming a part of something bigger, serving and dedicating your life to something that's not this earth, I feel like it just gave me this whole new perspective on life, to just live for the Lord, love Jesus, just try to be like Jesus, love his people, and just like putting my life on a new mission. That was the biggest way it could have shaped me ever, changed my whole life.
Awesome. You get in that youth ministry time when you go out and serve and stuff, you have plenty of bandwidth to make mistakes and learn from those things and glean from your youth pastors and stuff. That's amazing. And you gleaned a lot because you do a great job at serving Jesus today. So Dakota, how about you? How did youth ministry shape 2024, Dakota?
Although I have grown up in church, there was a season of my life early on in high school that I wanted nothing to do with the church. I was angry. I was upset at people. I was doing the wrong things. I was with the wrong people.
Yeah.
And at one camp, I had one encounter with the Lord. One encounter. It wasn't because the drummer played some cool fill or the guitar player played some cool riff. It was one encounter with the Lord coming down and sitting next to me. And that moment changed the whole trajectory of my life. I don't think I would be here. I for sure would not be doing something that would make me happy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good. So good. Connor, how about you?
Yeah, so we didn't really go to church on Sundays growing up, but when I started coming when I was 17, I brought my parents, I brought my brother, and then brought my grandparents, and then brought my other set of grandparents, and so we have a whole family that comes, and really it comes from this first moment of I'd been to youth group when I was in middle school, and I decided to give it a try. And when I gave it a try, you have a moment with Jesus, and your life can't be the same. And so from there, bringing our whole family. Now Sunday's just like, we go to church. There's never a question of it. It's just, I'll see you at church, there's never a question about it. And so I think not just me, but like my whole family's life was impacted by it. And even before, I really stepped in the calling of ministry, like my life was still dedicated to having an encounter with Jesus. And so that's where my life is focused on. Whether or not I'm doing ministry here, whether or not I'm doing whatever, like that's what my life is focused on. But it started from that very first one in youth group.
Yeah, so good. And how did you get, I know you told me the story, how did you get to youth group that first time?
I got invited. It's a funny story. Pastor Joey was my basketball coach, and he kept inviting me, and I said no. No.
And he's a good salesman, so that's impressive that you said no more than once.
And they had this event coming up, and somebody donated. They said, I feel like somebody's supposed to go, doesn't go to church here. So if you find somebody, let them know. And so Pastor Joey comes up to me and goes, hey, somebody paid for you to go. So if you want to go. And so I stepped there, and that's the moment that I encountered Jesus. So.
Wow, so good. And then it became college, and then it became a master's and a youth pastor and serving the Lord forever and ever. Yeah. So one last question before we wrap up. And let's go to, let's do Connor again. What advice would you give to that middle schooler, high schooler, that's here today that might be on the fence? Like, I've heard about, that they have student nights, and I know that they meet on Wednesdays, but maybe it's not for me. I'm just not sure. What advice would you give that student today?
Here's advice. Who in here is a middle schooler or high schooler in here? I'm just curious. Here's what I would say. If I hadn't have taken that moment when I was 17, I said, I've been to church before, I've tried it, I've done this, I've done youth group before, I've tried it. If I hadn't taken that moment to say, you know what, I'll try it again. I probably never would have encountered Jesus. And so whether it's here, whether you go to a different youth group, here's what I would say. You never know a moment when Jesus is going to capture your heart. And so just try it again. Yeah. If you come one week and it didn't work, try it again. So I think that would be my best advice. Try it again.
So good. Cole, how about you? What would your advice be to that teenager that's on the fence?
Yeah, for me, I just think about what's the worst that could happen.
Right.
And the worst is really nothing.
I think safe place.
Exactly.
At church.
You're gonna go have fun.
You're gonna have fun.
So that's how I thought of it when I wasn't forced to go, but I was kind of forced to go. Just look for the best outcome that there could be. You meet friends, you have fun, and you just go to kind of learn about who Jesus is. You might have an idea of who he is, but it's not until those moments where you're getting deeper with the people around you, your best friends, where you start to grow each other, you talk to each other about it, and Jesus is no longer something that just gets talked about at church. It's something that is just inside of you, and you want to share with everyone around you.
So good. What's the worst that could happen, right? You come to church, what's the worst that can happen? And I love Connor's advice. Give it a try, or give it another try, because God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And Jesus wants that intimate relationship with each and every one of us, not just our students. But it's so vital that we pour into our students now. I read a statistic from Barna that said 77% of Christians accepted Jesus before they were 18 years old. Over three quarters of all people that call themselves Christians made that decision before they were out of high school. It's so vital that in these formative years that we get them plugged into something, like Cole said, that's bigger than them. Plugged into being able to find out their identity and figure out what's next in their life. Cole, that's so profound that you discovered it wasn't mom and dad's faith that can get my prayers answered. That can get, whatever. It wasn't until you made that discovery that it's my faith, that Jesus wants to be my best friend. He loves my parents, and I love that they have that, but that doesn't mean a whole lot to me forever. So I can't live off of that. I have to find my own experience with God. And as a result, Connor is our youth pastor, has a master's degree in theology, has dedicated his life to serving the Lord from being invited at 17. Somebody paid for him. And God hasn't stopped there. I'll share another note. He went to Jerusalem, to Israel last October, and somebody paid for his entire trip to go to Israel. So God is continuing to bless him, but he has made it his life commitment to be a part. For Dakota, he interned for 27 years, unpaid. We may not pay him now. He's used to it, right? Why change? If it works for us, let's just keep this thing going here, Dakota. Well, don't worry, we'll get you maybe a clothing expense or something like that.
Maybe gas or something.
Maybe gas once in a while, but this is his life. You all are his family. I see the way that trickles down, not just beyond him, but into Liam and Layla. That girl, after we have events here, she will be the first one in the back closet to start sweeping the floor in here, to start picking up trash. This is her house. This isn't her dad's job. This isn't her mom's occupation that they're the pastors. This is their house because they've made that decision for themselves in their youth ministry to say, no, I want to serve Jesus. Not just because I'm being made to. That Camry worships and that she comes up here and just gives it her all to try to experience that moment again. Once you get a taste of the goodness of God, it's like, what can I do to be in that moment again? What can I do to be in that presence? What can I do to share my story with other people so that they can be a part of that presence? And so she leads worship and sings. Cole is constantly around here every Sunday with the camera and helping with our tech team. And so I say that to say their experience from 7th grade to 12th grade made an impact that changed the trajectory. I'll get it out. Changed the trajectory of their lives to serve God in all that they do. For me, mine was a little later in life, but when I made that decision, I had a moment with Jesus that changed me forever, and I want everyone that I come in contact with to have an opportunity to have that same moment because it meant so much to me, and God's no respecter of persons. If you haven't had your moment yet, it's not because God is waiting for you to do something, because he's always ready. He's waiting for you to take that step of surrender to him, and you can have that moment, and it's glorious. So I'm so excited to be a part of to hear your stories and to let people know where you came from and what it meant to you, because we have so many opportunities for you to plug in your students here at Wellspring.